the second part of our News.PH Christmas special. I'm Pia Ontiveros. Yes, Christmas and politics do go together. Figure that one out. We continue our Christmas conversation from last Wednesday. A Pinoy Christmas, after all, has all these: good food, good music, good friends, good conversation about what else? A national pastime, politics. Tonight, it's part two of the biggest political stories of 2012. Our guests, who stayed with me for one whole week and who were billeted here, or who wished they were billeted here in Makati Siang for one whole week, Vergel Santos, Maluti Kia, Dante Desierto, and Leloy Claudio. Good evening again, and Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas again.
Okay, well, let's talk about the elections. Let's go straight into the elections for 2013. The run-up to the elections, a lot of people are saying this is the other big political story for 2012. Tama ba, Malu?
It is a story because you have two sister companies battling it out for 2013.
Two sister companies? Sino yung
Yes.
dalawang sister companies?
Si Una tsaka si LP.
Ah, okay,
Diba?
okay.
There's no opposition party. I think this is the first time that it happens in our country. So you will see the strength of the incumbent. And again, as what Vergel said, gusto ko yung word na perversity of Philippine politics. Kasi makikita mo, nako-op yung opposition. There's only one opposition actually. That's Mitos. But
Okay.
she is in Una.
Yeah.
And Una apparently is friendly with LP.
Yeah. So why is it like that? Why do we have two separate slates?
Because I think the Vice President is also preparing for the 2016. And the LP would like to accommodate more in the coalition than purist LP. So you will see that the LP would probably be trying out more engaged at the local level.
Okay. Okay. I was talking to Ompong Plaza, deputy spokesperson of Una, sometime July 2012, because I was doing this special report series. Ganito yung explanation niya kung bakit may LP slate, may Una slate. Simple lang daw, because Mar Rojas and Jojo Binay want the same thing. They both want to be president,
That's also
so...
true. But mas clear yung kay Vice President. The fact that you have in our election cycles two election cycles where you have a Binay running adds up to a strategy in 2016, which is recency of the Binay name. So he ran in 2010, there's somebody running in 2013. So chances are, in terms of awareness, etc., there's already a
Perverse talaga.
Diba?
Parang exciting naman pag may election, pero this is not going to compare to 2010. 2010 was epic because Cory Aquino had just died, you had this new candidate emerging, and then there was all this talk
parang
about...
good versus evil.
Ganon,
To a
or
certain
that's how
extent.
Conrado de Quiros pegged it, right?
Yeah.
I have reservations with any black and white interpretation of politics because Philippine politics, if anything, is dicey.
Exactly.
So there's never black versus white, but at least that was the story there had telenovela potential. Here, what is it really? Una LP, it's kind of boring actually.
And if you look at we're December, and I don't see any like before. There are already political activities. The pot is boiling now. I don't think the pot is boiling. It
Why
will
not?
start boiling.
Sa kampanya na,
The only
ganon?
people who are spending are those with money. Diba? Those who can run their own national campaign, they spend. Those who cannot, they wait for the party.
Yung natural development of reform kasi, doon dapat mag-umpisa.
Sa lokal.
Come to think of it, whether it be economic development, pinipilit natin yung trickle down. That's from the top, walang nangyari. Ang politika ganun din, pinipilit natin from the top, hindi ganun nangyayari.
From the ground up.
If you look at histories, you will realize that reform of whatever nature, cultural or political or economic, nanggaling doon sa baba.
But it's coming in trickles.
mga
It's coming in trickles also, di ba? Mas
Bar
bate.
in
yung mga-
between.
No, pero ganun talaga ang
Ganyan,
ng reform.
naga,
Haba yan eh.
Oh, pero even the perversion of the political system, manggagaling din sa
Gagaling din
lokal
doon.
yan.
Exactly.
But like somebody like the Jojo Binay phenomenon, love him or hate him, what he understands about Philippine politics is that it occurs sa lokal. Kaya nagulat
Oh,
yung mga
politics
tao,
is
bigla panalo si Binay last minute. That's because he had a ground game. And that's also what explains the Obama victory, di ba? May
Yeah.
ground game, may connection with the people. So that's the next thing we need to do in Philippine politics, not just to know how to
Not
project
just
yourself in the
air war.
media,
National.
air
It's
war.
really local.
How do you talk to people?
Yeah, you have to
How
do your
connect
homework.
to- yeah.
Kinonek talaga ni Jojo.
At saka masipag siya. Yung bayang hindi pinupuntahan ng iba, pinupuntahan niya. Yun siguro.
Tsaka yung mga bahay hindi naman pinupuntahan naman siya. Pinadala rin sa Makati.
Exchange, di ba, sisterhood.
Ganon.
Siguro there's two schools of thought sa politika. May sinabi si Deloy na yung lahat air war. Meron kasing naniniwalang ilang politiko na the way to win national is just to do air war. I do not believe in that
Ako rin.
because wala kang suporta sa baba.
Right.
It's very hard for you to govern. Jesse Robredo's story, he organized anyone who wanted to be organized. First term in office. Dahil kasama niya sa governance program niya. Dito, meron kasing iba na pag nag-air war ka ng nag-air war, nakita naman natin ilang election na may tumakbo, gumastos ng pera, and still they didn't made it in the Senate.
Yan yung kahit sa states, di ba? The Republicans were saying, but we spent so much
Yeah.
money on television
Air war,
ads.
right.
But you ask the people who voted for Obama, well, there was an Obama volunteer who shook my hand, who came to my house.
So that is the importance of ground war. Unfortunately, since we are an island, it's so expensive to train,
Archipelago.
to look, and to mold these people. But as soon as politicians are ready to invest on people, I think it is better to do ground war than air war.
But there's social media now.
Well, social media is still ground. Social media, if you're going to do that, is a mobilization tool for your ground people, not for your air.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are going to social media because air is 15 seconds at 400,000.
Social media, yan ang pumatay sa career ni Tito Soto.
So we had that victory earlier in last week's episode, Lelo. You were talking about the RH bill.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think, yun nga, it's very, what I said last week was that it's actually, yun ang ground game. Kasi 13 years yun you built a constituency. Tapos nakita mo talaga paano mahinog ang constituency. I think it's a good lesson on how to run campaigns.
Yeah.
A lot of people told us na, mga kakampanyo, puro mga mayayaman. Totoo, may mga mayayaman. Pero may mga mayayaman din dun sa anti-RH.
Yeah.
Pero kung pumunta ka dun sa Senado at saka dun sa Congress, yung pinakamadalas na dun, mga community healthcare worker, mga nanay. At sila talaga yung unsung heroes ng RH. At sila, in general, yung mga taong yan ang unsung heroes of Philippine politics.
Pero kung hindi dahil kay Pangulong Aquino, baka, di ba, Malu?
Magaling ang timing ni Pangulong
Galing ang
Aquino.
timing.
Yun ang talagang
Timing.
bawa ko.
Galing ang
Kasi
timing.
nung nakikita na niya na...
Can you imagine how close?
Diba tumataas na, malapit na. Abay, kailangan kong sumakay dito.
Yes. You see how close the endorsement and the vote?
Yes.
Like you
Talaga
said,
close.
he has a laser sword.
Yes.
Meron talaga.
Laser sword.
Although playing safe kasi when he endorsed it or when he certified it as urgent, tapos na yung second reading,
Exactly.
panalo na.
Oo,
Sa
bakit
third
ganon?
reading,
Yeah.
ang laki bigla ng diferensya, ang dami puntang pro.
Oo,
after
kasi
his
parang
endorsement.
nung umpisa parang medyo hesitant, no? Parang medyo nasa
Hindi, pero Kongreso,
back.
ganyan
Bakit
talaga.
biglang
Behavior talaga ng Congress, ng
House.
House.
House, ganyan talaga.
Oo. Nakita mo yung second reading, may pagkakaiba ang boto ng
pagkakaiba.
second sa third. Sa third, sigurista na sila.
Sigurista
Dito
na yan,
kami.
sama na sa
dito
kapila.
na lang, 'di ba?
Hindi
Mahirap
nila
yung
over-
no sila. Oh.
That's
Volume
always,
bottom
that's
yun.
that's a,
Pero sa
that
Senado,
is
it
a-
remained the same.
Oo.
13-8.
Okay. Well, we're going to break. So, very quickly, there are other bills, no? FOI, anti-political dynasty. You know, the FOI, well, pumasa sa Senado, third and final reading. Sa House, hindi pa. Pero merong, all these
That's
big
even
bills.
a surprise.
But maybe there's a couple of bills I'd like to mention. It's it really introduced important reforms in the fight against corruption. There were amendments to the anti-money laundering law. As it stands now, because of the recent laws that were passed by Congress, the Anti-Money Laundering Council can now file a petition in court ex parte, ask the Court of Appeals for permission to look into the bank accounts without informing the owner of those accounts.
Kasi yan, ha?
That was a very, to me, That was a very important law that was passed.
Yes.
Okay.
And I think that is because of the learnings we had on the impeachment.
Yeah.
Now we're seeing the
residual effect,
consequences of impeachment.
And now we're going to hear Verhel again because we're going to a break. So Verhel's going to sing for us again. Kawawa, you're so overworked.
Oo
Ano?
nga eh.
Andito rin naman si Dante.
Sobra to
Kumakanta
eh.
naman yun. Kaya lang ayaw niya.
Sobra
Nahihiya pa
ito.
siya. Eh. What are you gonna sing now?
Alam mo yung kantang Smile ni Charlie Chaplin, very much in the character of this nation. Diba?
Yeah.
Smile, though your heart is aching, smile, even though it's breaking. When there are clouds in the sky, you'll get by. If you smile through your fear and sorrow, smile and maybe tomorrow you'll see the sun come shining through for you. Light up your face with gladness, hide every trace of sadness, although a tear may be ever so near. That's the time to keep on trying. Smile, what's the use crying? You'll find that life is still worthwhile if you just smile.
And that's why Paulo Santos is Paulo Santos. We'll be right back. This is a News.PH Christmas special. Welcome back. This is a News.PH Christmas special. I'm Pio Ontiveros. And our guests, of course, Verhel Santos, Maluti Kia, Dante De Sherto, and Leloy Claudio. So what do we have to be thankful for? 2012. Naku, nag-isip.
We have to be
Dante.
thankful for so many things. We have a government that is dead serious in reforms. You have a captain of a ship who is very willing, who will go to extra lengths to make sure that we tread the straight path. Aside from that, we also have to be thankful for there were blessings during this year. We saw justice, the administration of justice during the early part of this year. And there were effects toward the middle of the year. And I think we should also look forward to the continuous remittances by the OFWs. I have to go back to that because to me that's really is what's saving this country at the moment.
Hey, that's 18 billion.
Yeah, and I think we have to make sure that that continues to happen in the succeeding years.
Leloy?
Democracy is a work in progress. So what we have to look forward to is the strengthening of our democratic institutions. And the impeachment trial, I don't think that weakened our institutions. In fact, I think that strengthened our institutions. I think the fact that, even if they passed 3 bills late, the House of Reps and the Senate, the fact that they did that towards the end of the year is a sign that some of these institutions do work. That even a bill that takes 13 years to debate can be put up to a vote. I think that shows that our democracy, remember, our democracy is not very old. It began in 1986. So this work in progress is doing relatively well, I think.
But wait, so we have to be thankful also for democracy. What else? For etong 2012?
The deepening of democracy, and then of course the fact that people, despite all the problems, are not very disillusioned yet with politics. A lot of people my age say, why don't I try working for government?
Yeah.
That's new,
Because you can change things. It's your
yes,
generation that can
yes.
change
Then
things,
my
di ba?
students, they're saying, sir, government's an option for me. And some of my students
Public
are
service,
really smart, and
yeah.
I'm really looking forward to seeing them there making a change instead of them, normal career path, enrich yourself, and then
That's what I
make your
always say.
family richer. Yeah.
I'm happy that Leloy thinks this way, because Leloy is kind that will inherit this patch of earth. I mean, and it is heartening that he sees something heartwarming
Something good.
about the whole thing. Whatever you say about this president, you may say that purity of heart is not exactly the one single virtue of leadership, but all the same, how many presidents have we had who had that kind of heart? That alone we should be thankful for. And you saw it in the impeachment, you saw it in RH bill. In fact, remember the vote at the impeachment was an overwhelming
20.
moral vote, whatever you say. So that's enough. I mean, in fact, it seems to be there more to be thankful for.
Yeah, actually, no.
Than any other.
Accountability,
other-
transparency.
Let's not forget the peace treaty with the MILF.
Yeah.
It's very important. We should be thankful for that. I think
Yeah.
that peace is something we really need, and hopefully peace with the CPP, NPA, and the
But,
Again,
and
let's hope
it's
that-
interesting, framework agreement pa lang siya, pero grabe reaksyon ng tao doon, ano?
It's very symbolic.
Siguro, Pia, thematically, I would tend to agree with our friends here. I would like to hold my judgment on the leadership because there are certain things that need to be acted upon and certain people that need to be made accountable. Without doubt, President Aquino has really stood up for certain and delivered on certain issues. Particularly, I'm very, very surprised that these hard policies were made very, very near election. That has never happened historically. Usually, pag election, lahat sila nag-a-avoid ng issue. Kasi tatakbo kami.
Yeah,
We do not want to be judged based on our last votes, but the sum total of my term. Pero dito, uniquely, nakita mo, tinaya niya, to talk about sin taxes on an election year, to raise that, to raise sin taxes, you may say may pinaboran, may hindi pinaboran, but still to labor
actually
through
have
the
done it,
process, is something new. Maraming bumabati ko sa kanya dahil sa work style niya, etc., etc. But at the end, sino bang nakapagpalabas ng RH bill? Sino bang nakapagpalabas ng FOI?
Sa
yung
Senado.
amendment, di ba?
Yes,
Ang galang
amendments
sitting Chief Justice.
Yung mga ganon na hindi mo akalain mangyayari sa atin.
At least nangyari.
Nagawa niya.
At least nangyari.
Pero may mga ibang bagay pa na ina-expect ang tao. Kunyari, accountability ng mga tao niya. Yung mga ganon, if you really want to because this is legacy already for him, the next 3 years.
Kasi the tendency is, simple issues are complicated by certain people for their own purposes.
I like your power and freedom.
That's right.
Yeah,
Kasi
okay.
ang laban dito is power and freedom. You look at the Freedom of Information Bill. Sino tatamaan ng Freedom of Information? Tao nasa poder. Yung right of reply, kaya gusto nung i-pass. Bakit? Sino makikinabang? Yung taong nasa poder. Kasi nga, simple issues are complicated by certain people for their own ends. Look at the impeachment. Yung impeachment, the case did not need any proving. Alam naman natin yun, no? Yung Freedom of Information Bill, ang pinag-uusapan dito, public information. O, the explicit na this is information that the public ought to know. So, ano pag-uusapan natin? Yung right of reply bill. Maliwanag, trying to abridge the unabridgeable. Maliwanag sa Constitution yun Bawal Yung RH bill, kinomplicate na ng issue, ang issue freedom of choice
Yes.
Basic freedom of issue, kinomplicate.
Iba lang ako ng konti. Speaking of President Noy, ano nga pala ang original campaign promise niya? Didn't
Kung
it have
walang
something
corrupt,
to do
walang
with
mahirap.
GMA, at least implicitly? So what's gonna happen there?
Yeah.
What's gonna happen with the former president? And he promised justice. And a lot of people took that to mean the jailing of a former president. What's gonna happen with that case?
Okay. Well, we're in the last half of the second gap already. What do we have to look forward to in 2013?
alam mo, election ng
Silence.
bakbakan dyan, 2013 eh. Ako, I'd like to watch the 2013 election because I feel that we are beginning to realize that reform naturally begins.
During election.
Yes, at saka doon sa ibaba.
Sa baba.
Sa ibaba eh.
But if
So,
there's not
I'd like
much
to
difference,
see-
kung sister company nga yung dalawa eh, paano yun?
Well, doon sa taas yun, yung mga senador yun.
Okay,
ano,
local,
eh.
okay.
Pag tinignan mo yung survey, madidismaya ka eh.
At saka pwede, yeah, correct. If you look at the survey, alam mo na kung sino mananalo, more or less. Unless there's a surprise na talagang sa galing ng kampanya niya makapanik doon sa labing dalawa. Pero sa local, there are very, very interesting races.
Oh, apart from the Masbate, saan pa?
Pangasinan, I mean, there are big provinces where LP has fielded key supporters versus the incumbent. So we will see, and then there's another group that has supported 38 governors who are not LP. But essentially, the agenda really is to do legacy. Nanalo ka nung midterm ni Noy. So regardless of what party you are, nanalo ka. So may mga ganong situations, may mga ganong occurrences sa local na kung minsan titingnan mo, nasan ba talagang LP? So, in terms of political reform, I'd like to see more of political reform. Walang ilinagay sa mesa ang leadership tungkol sa political reform.
What specific political reform are you
Specifically,
looking for?
party development. Wala nun. I'd like to see how...
All the parties kasi.
I'd like to see how
Wala like,
automation will work out this time around. Kasi until now, I think they're still bidding up the system integration. Gusto natin makita yung bambilis ng pagboto noon, ganun pa rin ngayon. Kasi that will interest. And there has been a group that has been saying, yung automated rig yan, nandaya yan, etc.
Teka muna, kung rigged yan, eh, di ba?
Di ba?
Nanalo presidente, di ba?
Precisely. But those people who are saying that are even questioning the mandate of our president presently.
Okay.
So, sinong mananalo sa taas? Sa tingin ko, it will be a combination of the
two sister
sisters.
companies.
It can be 10-2 or 8-5, whichever would be the... I think the best case scenario would be a 10-2. The worst case scenario
10
would
is?
be 10 LP, 2 una.
What do we look forward to in 2013?
Yeah, well,
13, yes.
Just shortly,
Yeah.
I think the battle cry of the administration has always been good governance, anti-corruption. So I think in the next year, we'll probably expect the filing of more cases because the administration has been effective in that regard.
Yeah.
And that success
So parang
Yes,
tataas ang expectation ng taon ngayon,
it created
di
a halo effect such
Yeah.
that the other issues, more or less, they've been put in the background. And I think the administration would continue to follow that track.
ba? Yeah. Deloy?
Change from the ground. I think that's the theme of the two episodes we talked. It's so easy
Yeah.
to be disillusioned if you talk about senators, the two companies. But if you look at people who are doing ground game, people working with the grassroots, people who are reform candidates locally, then you start to feel excited.
Yeah.
And so I'm looking forward to a year
Start
with that.
within your own sphere of influence. Malu?
I think this administration has been shaking the foundations of institutions. When young guys are appointed to the Supreme Court, it changes the whole way you look at institutions and the way you look at jurisprudence. I'd like to use the Jesse Robredo way, which is a scorecard. Sinabi ni Deloy na iba yung nangyayari sa baba. It's so easy to be an armchair analyst in this country. But when you go back to the grassroots, to the community, it's a different story that they're saying. So there is a disconnect in the RH advocacy when people hit us because of the position we take. But when you go back to the grassroots, to the community, it's a different thing that they need.
Yeah.
And
It matters to them.
and it matters to them. I guess at the end, the first 3 years of this administration, I'd like to say that they are where they are right now, where I exactly would want them to be there. The next 3 years, I'm very hopeful that there'll be projects, infrastructure, to make our nation competitive, and there'll be decisions made that need to be made on accountability.
Okay. Verhel Santos.
Me, I see hints of change. I like young people. I like civil society to give it an aggressive push. I think this is the time to really push aggressively for this change. And especially since you seem to have there a leadership whose heart might be in the right place.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much to our guests, Vergel Santos, Maluti Kia, Dante Di Sherton, Leloy Claudio. Thank you so much. Merry Christmas, everyone, and a Happy New Year to all of you. And of course, Vergel, joined by Dante and Leloy, will be singing the last Christmas song. So this is track 4 on the
Track on your CD.
on your CD. What are you going to sing? What are you going to
I
sing?
get that. What do you want me to sing?
Have yourself a merry little Christmas.
Have yourself a merry little Christmas. Let your hearts be light. From now on, our troubles will be out of sight. Have yourself a merry little Christmas. Make your Yuletide gay. From now on, our troubles will be miles away. Here we are, as in olden days, happy golden days of yore. Faithful friends who are dear to us, gather near to us once more. Someday soon we all will be together, if the fates allow. Until then, we'll have to muddle through
Somehow.
somehow. So have yourself a merry little Christmas now.
May backup singer na si Cinderella.
Backup na.